Okay. Basically, we will proceed. The process is as follows. Mr. McDonald will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement. There will then be 4 questions, and he will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each. There is no closing statement. Mr. McDonald, your opening statement, please.
Well, welcome, and thank you very much for staying on tonight. I actually am an alumnus of this lovely school, and so it's great to be back here many years later. But I'm going to cut right to the point here. I think we need a change in leadership in Alexandria, and I'm going to tell you why I think that. I've watched the city make one mediocre planning decision after another. By this I mean decisions that involve an enormous amount of uncertain benefits and uncertain liabilities. We talked about Potomac Yard. You heard about that tonight. I'm for Metro, but I'm greatly concerned when we take 30 years of our tax revenue in one project and tie it up in just that one project. We can look at the waterfront. What brings tourists, what keeps us in Alexandria? It's our history, our waterfront, and all of these things. Do you want to put a hotel on the waterfront? Do you want to put a tall ship on the waterfront? Do you want to do something thinking out of the box and creative? And this is not something that will cost us revenue. It will bring revenue to the city. Look at the West End, the Beauregard plan. Were citizens properly consulted? Well, they were consulted, and then when they said, I have concerns, what happened? The plan was approved. BRAC, we've heard a lot about that. I mean, this was an enormous project. It brings us no revenue. It means that we have to build a fire station. It means that we lost part of the forest on the edge of the Winkler Preserve. This is not good planning. 30 seconds. Well, I guess I'm being very slow tonight. I think we need a change in leadership, and I'm an independent running to restore some democratic balance on the city council, to improve and create much more of a comprehensive planning process. We heard Bob Wood speak of that. Involve the citizens, not just invite them to a meeting, actually listen to what they have to say. Preserve what is unique about our wonderful town.
Thank you very much. The first question. Please, we'd like to respect the same rules that we had for council members. Both you and Mayor Euille vigorously advocated very different visions for the future of the Alexandria waterfront. With the benefit of hindsight, what changes, if any, would you have made or would you now make to the waterfront plan? You have 1.5 minutes.
Well, I think a number of speakers spoke to this issue earlier from the council. One of the real problem with the waterfront plan, I would say, is we began on the 5th floor of a hotel. We didn't begin by discussing alternatives with the community, taking ideas, and looking at different ways to bring revenue to the waterfront. There's a sort of assumption going on now that if we develop in one place, all the revenue from that one place should pay for all the benefits. That's not how it should work. It should work that we have development in the city, the development produces revenue, the revenue goes into the general fund, and then we provide benefits to the city as a whole. The waterfront plan was crafted on the backs of a lawsuit, trying to avoid a lawsuit with the Washington Post. It's really not even about hotels. It's about maximizing revenue on the waterfront, not creating a great waterfront that will bring tourists to Alexandria, enhance property values, and do so many things for our arts and our community. We simply didn't look for other ways to produce revenue for the waterfront. We didn't look at other ways to develop it. This argument about by right and so on is simply, as Bob Wood and others have said, is simply a myth. What we need to do is figure out how to develop the places we have carefully and constructively and do it together as a community.
Thank you. Some critics characterize you as an advocate for quality of life issues, even at the expense of economic development. No doubt this is an oversimplification. What value do you place on Alexandria's economic development? When should that value take precedence over quality of life considerations?
Well, I mean, I think that good economic development provides a quality of life. We moved here, all of us, for various reasons, because there was a high quality of life. And we expect the development that comes in to provide that, to provide the benefits. So let's take, for example, schools. We've had 4,000 new kids enter our school system in 4 years. We're so far behind on the planning for schools. We're terribly far behind. It's going to be an enormous investment in debt and so on coming down the road. We didn't plan that very well. Have we planned for parks for all the new population of citizens in Alexandria? No, we're way behind the ball on that as well. So I would argue that good development, properly planned, properly thought out, will improve the quality of life. And there is a balance. We want development, but we don't want just any development. So I think it's kind of a silly question, really. I mean, you want development to improve your quality of life and to provide a good revenue stream at the same time, a sustainable revenue stream. So when we say to a developer, just come in and develop, and we don't ask them to give us parks and schools and other things, that's just not a good equation.
Thank you. Next question. Given the breadth and range of Alexandria's needs for city services and the constraints on its resources of revenue to support them, what role should the mayor play in balancing the city's needs with its financial resources?
Well, the mayor is one member of the city council, an important member, but with all the other members of the city council, and we set the public policy for the city. Our job on paper is to hire the city manager, hire the city attorney, and hire the city clerk. But our job is to set policies that do exactly that, that provide a balance. And I think that's exactly what has not happened over at least a certain amount of the last 9 years of the mayor's leadership. Is that there's been sort of this de facto, well, I don't know who's responsible for that mess. The city council is responsible. The city council says to the city manager, we need you to plan in this kind of way to provide these kinds of benefits for the community. And if you're not doing it, or you're not hiring the planning director that can do it, or you're having a city attorney sue its citizens, that's not an effective use or balancing of everything. So my feeling is the city council, by setting effective public policy, can balance the needs of the city. In other words, if we have good development on the waterfront, it will provide revenue by enhancing tourism. The tourism revenue will go into the general fund, and we can use that to support our schools. It's simply a matter of developing appropriately in certain places with the consent and the cooperation and collaboration of the community.
Thank you. And the last question. Assume that it is 2015 and you are looking back on your record as mayor. What are the 2 or 3 most important achievements that you would like to be able to cite as the major accomplishments of your time in office?
Well, I would like the community to feel at the end of my next term, and I sincerely hope that that is the case, my first term as mayor, that you feel that we have worked with you effectively. We provided the information so that you can help all of us make better decisions, and that you feel like you've really been part of a shared vision for Alexandria, exactly what we wanted for the waterfront. Personally, I'd like to see us do more things with the environment. We do need more parks. We probably need to increase our pools and other things of that ilk. We need more bike trails and a lot of quality of life things. And I do think it is important for development, providing good revenue, to provide these benefits. We're not a town of 1749 anymore. We're a very different kind of place. On the other hand, we have certain unique attributes that we want to preserve. So I want, and then I guess finally, I would like the community to feel that we are planning. In other words, when we approve a project, you know the investment, you're not getting liabilities, you're getting real public benefits, long-term public benefits, and then it's a good return on your investment, on your tax dollar. I want you to feel like the money you're giving the city council, and that we're managing through good public policy is improving the quality of your lives, of everyone's life in Alexandria, whether they live on the waterfront, or in the West End, or Arlandria, or whether they're renting apartments in the hamlets, and so on. So I guess I want the community to feel like we are really sort of taking a much harder look at how we develop and how we engage you in that process.
Thank you.